In the world of geopolitics, there are simmering tensions, and then there are flashpoints. Those moments that could literally change everything. And right now, one of those flashpoints is blinking bright red in the Taiwan Strait. The countdown to a potential crisis, it may have already started. Okay, let's dive in.
And that's a totally fair question, right? You look at a map, you see this little island, smaller than Switzerland, sitting right off the coast of a global superpower. So why is everyone from Washington to Tokyo to Brussels literally holding their breath over its fate? Why are military planners running nonstop simulations and economists bracing for a massive impact? No, seriously. The device you're probably holding in your hand right now, or the computer you're watching this on, it's right at the heart of this entire story. And understanding that connection is the key to seeing why this regional tension could hit really close to home for every single one of us. So, to really get a grip on the crisis today, we've first got to understand why Taiwan is so uniquely important on the world stage. And it's a story that involves politics, deep history, and just an incredible amount of economic power. Okay, so at its heart, the entire conflict boils down to two totally different stories. On one side, you've got Taiwan, officially the Republic of China, which sees itself as a sovereign, self-ruling democracy with nearly 24 million people. But on the other side, you have the People's Republic of China in Beijing, which views Taiwan as a renegade province that has to be reunified with the mainland. And they've made it clear they'll use force if they think it's necessary. And look, this is not something that just popped up overnight. Its roots go all the way back to 1949, when the Chinese Civil War ended and the defeated nationalists fled to Taiwan. The Cold War then came along and pretty much cemented that divide. But in the decades since, Taiwan has just completely transformed itself, becoming not just a bustling democracy, but a true economic giant. And that brings us to today, where all those decades of simmering tension, they are really threatening to boil over. But here's the thing. Taiwan's real power today isn't about the size of its army. It's about something microscopic. This is what's called its silicon shield. Think about this. One single Taiwanese company, TSMC, produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors. And when you look at the really advanced ones, the super powerful chips that run everything, that number jumps to a mind-blowing 90%. We're talking about the brains inside your iPhone, your car, and even advanced military jets. Taiwan basically has a chokehold on the entire global tech supply chain. All right, so we've got this long simmering tension and this incredible economic leverage. For years, the world kind of walked on eggshells around this whole issue with a policy called strategic ambiguity. That basically just meant the US was super vague about whether it would actually step in to defend Taiwan. It kept everyone guessing. But recently, one single statement just shattered that entire status quo and really started the clock ticking. This right here, November 2025. This was the moment the game completely changed. All that careful, quiet ambiguity that had, for the most part, kept the peace for decades, well, it didn't just get challenged, it got tossed right out the window. Yeah, this statement from Japan's prime minister was an absolute bombshell. I mean, you have Japan, a country whose constitution literally renounces war, coming out and publicly saying, nope, we will not stay on the sidelines. For the first time ever, a major power in the region drew a crystal clear red line. And China's reply? It was immediate, and it was just as blunt. The message was unmistakable. This is our internal business, and any country that tries to interfere is going to be met with overwhelming force. Just like that, the diplomatic gloves were completely off. So to really grasp what a seismic shift this was, you got to look at how Japan used to operate. Before, they were all about self-defense, and they were deliberately vague, right? But now, with their own islands just a stone's throw from Taiwan, and their economy depending on the exact same shipping lanes, this statement was a massive pivot. It was a clear signal that an attack on Taiwan would now be seen as a direct threat to Japan itself. The entire strategic game board in Asia was redrawn practically overnight. Okay, so a war of words between two of Asia's biggest players is one thing, but here's the scary part. This isn't just talk. It's all being backed up by some serious, growing military muscle. And the potential consequences, the ripple effects, could spread across the entire planet. And you can see it in the hardware. China is in the middle of one of the largest naval buildups in modern history. Naturally, Taiwan is cranking up its own defense spending in response. And all the while, the US and its allies are stepping up their naval patrols and military drills in the region. The pieces are actively being moved into position. So what would a conflict actually look like? Well, experts have laid out a pretty frightening range of possibilities. It could start with something like an economic blockade, just trying to squeeze Taiwan into submission, or maybe massive cyber warfare to shut the country's infrastructure down. Then you have smaller, asymmetric attacks on key military targets. And of course, there's the absolute nightmare scenario, a full-blown amphibious invasion. And I really want to be crystal clear about this. A conflict, no matter what form it takes, would not be some distant, regional war you just watch on the news. It would trigger an immediate and absolutely catastrophic global economic crisis. The shockwaves would hit every single one of us. Remember those advanced chips we talked about? Yeah, that supply would vanish, literally overnight. The Taiwan Strait, one of the busiest shipping highways in the world, would grind to a halt. Global markets would go into a freefall from the sheer uncertainty. And on top of all that, you'd almost certainly see massive sanctions slapped on China, the world's #2 economy. The economic pain would be universal. So, that brings us to the biggest question of all, right? After all the tough talk, the military moves, and these new red lines, where do we possibly go from here? Right now, the entire world is watching, waiting to see which path gets taken. Broadly speaking, there are basically 3 ways this could go. Path number 1, the best-case scenario. A whole lot of intense diplomacy and united international pressure somehow manages to cool things down and pull everyone back from the edge. Path number 2, the worst case. Things keep escalating, more military drills, more sanctions, until someone miscalculates or an accident happens and a spark ignites a real conflict. And then there's a third, kind of weird possibility, a cold standoff, where the super high tension never leads to war, but it also never goes away. It just becomes the new, deeply uncomfortable normal. And here's the crucial point. No matter which of those 3 futures comes to pass, it will affect you. It will affect all of us. A peaceful resolution could reshape global alliances for decades. A cold standoff? Well, get ready for persistent supply chain problems and things just costing more, permanently. And a hot conflict? Well, we've already walked through what that would mean for the global economy we all depend on. So we're left with this massive question: peace or conflict? The decisions made in the coming months by leaders in Beijing, Taipei, Tokyo, and Washington will have consequences that ripple out and touch all of us. Whether this flashpoint leads to a new understanding or a new war is probably the single most important geopolitical question of our time, and the whole world is watching, waiting for an answer.